Okay, you are recording.
Okay.
Good job.
Hello there. I'm Lori Somekh, and you're here on Senior Matters with Somekh and Associates. And I have a very special guest today, someone who's shaking up the world of brain health in the area of children's brain conditions, as well as in the area of special interest to me, my contemporaries, and my clients, conditions of the aging brain. As an elder law attorney, dementia and Alzheimer's patients make up the majority of my client base. Now we're helping them get care in place and protect their life savings, but we're really not dealing with their brain health. Here in the West, a lot of people still believe that there's not much that can be done to reverse Alzheimer's and dementia, other than take the drugs like Aricept or Namenda or whatever the latest drug is to try to, which may possibly slow the progression of the disease. So I think a lot of people face this topic with a feeling of dread and hopelessness. Well, my guest is disrupting that whole paradigm of hopelessness and resignation, because he's out there in the field treating this stuff with all kinds of success. So I want to welcome the amazing pioneer of brain health, Dr. David Agerelated. Hello, Dr. David.
Hey, Lori, and you got my name. You pronounced it perfectly. Thank you.
Awesome.
You did, absolutely.
Awesome.
That's amazing. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, you're welcome. Welcome to Senior Matters. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. Where are you coming from today? Are you still in Texas?
I'm in Dallas, yes. I'm in Dallas, Texas, yes.
Awesome.
Out of an office in Irving, close to Dallas, I guess, yeah.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, no snow here, thankfully. I hear there's snow everywhere else.
And not here either. That could change any time of the day, but so far we don't have any.
Okay, good.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Sure, absolutely. I am a medical doctor, trained in Nigeria. Actually left my residency in radiation oncology to come to the States because I was, I guess now looking in retrospect now, I guess I was looking for answers that couldn't be found in one place. I was looking for ways to optimize human function, how to optimize how the brain works, how to optimize how the body works, so that the brain and body can in turn do the work of repairing and working the way it was designed to, created to, evolve to, whatever floats your boat. I've always felt that there's a lot more that we could be getting from our brains and bodies that we were not getting, and I felt there were certain keys and tools to doing that, and I felt coming to the US would help somewhat in helping me find those answers. So long story short, we started the Brain and Body Foundation. We established it in the US. It's also established in Nigeria, and basically it's a way of bringing out all these theories, all the things we've learned over the last 20 years or so, both in theory and from researchers and scientists and groundbreaking areas, especially where brain health is concerned, and seeing how we can apply them in communities and areas like Nigeria, remote areas in third world countries where they don't have access to healthcare like you all have in the US, where we don't have the neurologists, we don't have the neurosurgeons, we don't have the neuropsychiatrists, but we have access to some of the tools which we'll probably be talking about later, Lori, that can be applied by lay people, by parents, by children of people who have brain disorders. And we can see tremendous results. And over the past 5 or so years, we've seen amazing results simply by applying what can be referred to as first principles to brain health, to sickle cell disease, to immune health, and all these other things. And I think these tools and these answers are right there in front of us. It's just a question of knowing how to use them effectively.
Okay, so I understand your primary area of research is with children with brain disorders, children with sickle cell, autism, stuff like that. Could you tell us a little bit about what you're doing in that area?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, we started the Brain and Body Foundation, and primarily, if you're in a third world country, especially a country like Nigeria, the statistics are grim for brain health, especially in kids. 70% of all births are not in a hospital or not under the standard medical care, which means that they take place at home, in churches, in mosques, wherever. And so there's a lot of room for all kinds of things to go wrong. And the brain is usually the first casualty of war, if you would, or if you will, when it comes to what if things go wrong. And a lot of things do go wrong. So we have a lot of cerebral palsy, a lot of epilepsy, a lot of seizures, a lot of autism, and all these other things going wrong. And so we knew we couldn't get hired neurosurgeons or neuroscientists or neurologists. So because of my background, I'd lived in the US for about 10 years. And like I said, I was studying all these things. I realized that we could use nutrients, specific nutrients in specific ways and over a specific period of time, we could, and they were safe, and because they were nutrients, most of them were safe, we could actually make a huge difference. So things like cerebral palsy, for instance, the standard treatment, even in the US, is to give physical therapy and talk therapy and speech therapy and all these other things. No one really thinks about, in my opinion, when it comes to standard medicine, how to repair that brain, because the thought is, well, once the brain is damaged, well, there's nothing else you can do. The brain does not make new brain cells. That isn't true. Research is showing that the brain can replace itself. It can reproduce new brain cells. It can repair itself if given the right tools, if given the right conditions. So like I said, cerebral palsy is one of the big problems in Nigeria because of birth problems, not having good medical intervention at birth. And it's primarily a structural problem. The brain has been damaged severely, either by lack of oxygen or by jaundice, a lot of bilirubin in the blood. And these kids are damaged for life. But we found out that if you use the nutrients, so first principles, brain has been damaged structurally. What do you need to repair the structure of the brain? Well, you need to know what the brain is made up of. What are the main nutrients there? And I'm just giving you this, just trying to show you our thinking process. In a building now, it's probably cement and sand and metal and all those things. If there's damage to the wall, you've got to replace the damaged parts. So the key was, what are the damaged parts? What is the brain made up of? And what we've now found out, I'm giving you this example now, is that over 60% of the dry weight of the brain is made up of fatty acids, primarily omega-3 fatty acids. So if we're able to find the right quality kind of omega-3 fatty acids, and there's a lot in the shelves, I would say 90% of them can do what I'm talking about. But if you get the right kind and you give it the right doses, amazing things can happen. And that's what we saw. Through our foundation, we were able to get a lot of omega-3s from a specific company. And we saw amazing results. One quick example, a twin, both her and her twin sister had severe brain damage from bilirubin encephalopathy, jaundice. And for some reason, her sister escaped. She didn't. So she had a squint. She was brain damage. She could not move her limbs. Nothing. She was 8. Her sister had 16 teeth. She had only 8 as a result of the retrogression, the delays in milestones. Well, so all we did was just give her the omega-3s. Now remember, the omega-3 is what helps in repairing the brain, is the building block for the brain. It's also very important for inflammation. And long story short, within about 4 weeks, really, within 4 weeks, she had sprouted all 8 teeth that she was lacking behind it, where her sister was concerned. Her squint reversed, and she had a lot more control. I mean, not full control now, but because that takes time, but she had a lot more control of her limbs. And those were things that we kind of began to see earlier in our work with the foundation. And we're like, well, we are onto something. And we now began to search and research and find out other things that would help with the brain. And we began to use these things, we reached out to many of the companies that were, like, for instance, I'm in Dallas now, about 2 or 3 of the companies that supply us are here as well. So we would reach out to them because of the personal relationships I had developed with them. We were able to get more of these things, many of them at really discounted prices, import them into Nigeria and use these on these kids. And I can say, so we've recorded a lot of videos and data over the 5 years to show that different nutrients, like I said, different nutrients can help. And we've been able to apply this in adults as well. I mean, think about it. If it's safe for kids, you can pretty much be sure, be 90%, 95% sure it's going to be safe for adults, because kids are a lot more sensitive, especially where their brains are concerned. So the government of Nigeria has given us full approval to actually treat and use these nutraceuticals, and also teach in medical schools and universities as well, on what were our findings on how this can help.
So it's interesting. On the one hand, I hear you saying that in Africa, you don't have access to the high-tech treatments and all the fancy drugs that we have here in the West. So you work with what you have. But on the other hand, it seems like the upside of that problem is that maybe you're unconstrained by the kind of predefined orthodox medicine paradigm that Western physicians are kind of governed by. So you have the latitude to go outside the box for different kind of solutions. Am I hearing that right?
Yeah, absolutely. The necessity is the mother of invention, as they say. So that lack forced us to think outside the box, and and again, I have to say the advantage I had from having worked in the US and having lived in the US and having been exposed to all this great information and technology. I mean, we had a company that we were running webinars in 2007, 2008. Back then, when nobody knew what Zoom was, when nobody was taking cell phones into their restrooms and continuing their calls. So we were doing all these webinars, and we were inviting all these great individuals and experts in these different fields, and they were teaching us about all these different things. So I had the benefit of a lot of Western knowledge and information, but outside the box too, like you said. And so we're able to apply that back in Nigeria.
Yeah, it'll be very cool when the US and the Western world kind of embraces a little bit more of that type of outside the box treatments. I know we're very resistant to that over here.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think eventually we're gonna have to look at it, because it's the way things are going now, especially when it comes to brain health, Alzheimer's disease, and all that. The expenses are crippling, and probably will continue to do so in the next few years, crippling the economy. They would have to be forced to, I think about these other approaches.
yeah, it's kind of crazy. So do you find that what you've learned about the brain conditions with studying these kids translates nicely to the adult brain health in general?
Yeah, absolutely. So the lessons we learned from you working with kids, well, other things that we found out, okay, obviously structures. Alzheimer's disease is primarily a structural damage to the brain. So the same principles can be applied. I mean, let's just face it, the rest of us too, as we hit 40, a lot of these things don't work as well, right? So that downward climb begins to happen. So it's not just a structural problem. There's also the functional aspect. Over time, stressors, toxins, sleep problems, emotional issues, maybe trauma, maybe a concussion in the past, all begin to accumulate to affect the brain. So the brain doesn't work like it should. Now, again, of course, diet. We talked about diet before we started the program. So all these different things begin to accumulate. It just makes sense to be aware of these problems, and then of course know what one can do about them. So diet obviously is one thing, but it's not the only thing, because in my experience, diet does not provide the concentration of the specific nutrients that your brain needs to repair itself. So so that needs to be an added consideration. Another thing we found out where the brain is concerned is the gut, the digestive system. Unfortunately, it still isn't being thought of like it should. We saw it in kids. As soon as we started treating their guts, their brains began to take shape. We are now finding out that even Alzheimer's disease, even Parkinson's disease, many of the problems actually start with pathologies in the gut. And these pathologies, if addressed properly, can also help significantly in the symptomatology and the function of the person with Alzheimer's disease. So we're looking at different ways of addressing brain problems. But the key thing is that, and this is where I really want to leave our viewers with, is that it's not as much the nutrients or the drugs. And of course, we are not in any way advocating not using drugs. These drugs have been tested, they've been proven, so they work to a certain degree, but they're only treating things from one aspect. The key is the potential of the brain and the potential of the body to fix and repair and regulate itself, if given the right tools, the right resources, the right environment to do what it needs to do. And many times we're completely oblivious of those things. So it's important for us to enlighten people about it.
So have you had opportunities to work with people who have, for instance, normal age-related cognitive decline or memory loss? I'm going to ask everyone to put questions in the chat, by the way, if you have questions for Dr. David, so we can go over them. You know, we could hit them afterwards. But have you had a chance to work with the normal aging brain, where there isn't Alzheimer's or dementia necessarily diagnosed yet? Like people people in this population, for instance.
I mean, I'm heading it too. I remember you and I were talking, and there was a word I couldn't remember, and you picked it up right away. And it's like it's so insidious. So yes, it affects a lot of people, and yes, we work with a lot of people who are having quote unquote normal aging and memory loss, and of course those who have clearly pathological aging and memory loss. We address the whole spectrum.
Can you give me an example of something that might help someone with just your normal age-related memory loss? Like,
yeah, sure, absolutely. Yeah. So I like to start with the most basic things, and then we can step out again, because the more sophisticated ones are, of course, more expensive. So some of the core things you really want to make sure that's part of your diet are vitamin D, vitamin C. Believe it or not, vitamin C is very important for brain health. And the B vitamins. In fact, people are saying that B vitamins should be called the brain vitamins. So B for brain, especially B6 and B12. The reason they're important too is because of they're helpful in actually the creation and the function of the neurons, which are the nerve cells. So those are the basic things. Of course, you want to be hydrated, you want to have enough sleep, you want to reduce your stress as much as possible. Now, built upon that, there are specific supplements that I've seen that have worked really, really well. A good one would be one I think I mentioned to you too, Laurie. It's called NeuroBright. NeuroBright is a really, really good one. What they do is, what this company did, it's actually in Dallas here, is that they looked at all the key things that neurotransmitters are made from, what the brain cells are made from. They looked at things to help to remove toxins from the brain, and they kind of like found a way to just kind of like put them all together in one complex. And that has helped some people. Again, nothing works, in my experience, nothing works for everybody. Absolutely nothing works for everybody at every time. One of your problems could just be that there are toxins in your system. Maybe you've had silver filling, mercury amalgam fillings. That thing keeps on leaching into your bloodstream, and it can go to the brain, especially with mercury, and that can cause memory problems. It can cause forgetfulness. So there are specific nutraceuticals that are safe that can actually just remove those things over time from your blood. You don't have to do any. There are those words again. charcoal cleansing and all those. You don't have to go for a whole 1 week of charcoal cleansing. These are things that there are tools that are available to help to remove those things. And like I said, with the gut as well, we now know that if you have good probiotics, and many times as we grow older, our probiotic levels, probiotics simply mean the good bacteria, and there's been a huge amount of research where probiotics are concerned as to the influence they have on the brain. They found out that as you grow older, your probiotic diversity reduces. So for some people, and I use this with my Alzheimer's patients, especially, we add probiotics to the mix. So we have something for the brain, we have something for the gut, probiotics. If we suspect there are any toxins there somewhere, of course, we try to extract toxins. So a lot of it comes, and we have a wide range of tools to work with. It's a question of, okay, what we can elicit from our discussion and our consultation with the patient to see which ones we should start with.
Very, very, very interesting. How about, I have some clients with early Alzheimer's, like real full-blown Alzheimer's, who are my age, who are younger. Do you think that some of this stuff is able to help that population, or have they progressed too far? And
in my experience, the younger they are, the more we can help. Doesn't mean that if you're so old, you're not going to get any help. Some of the challenges we've seen with the older people is that, well, they don't want to change. They don't want to. The kids have to force them to take the pills, and that's another challenge entirely. But if we can get them to sneak the pills into their food or their drinks, we can see some results come out. So yeah, I mean, it's about the human body, the potential of the human body. I don't like to give too much credence to the disease. If you're still living, if you're still breathing, and you're willing to change, and you're willing to get better, somewhere, somehow, there's something we can work with. And it may take time. It may take a month, it may take 2 months to even see results. And of course, it would probably be expensive, more expensive than your regular Tylenol, for instance. But we do see some significant results.
I like the way you put that, not giving too much credence to the disease, like as if it's an entity in and of itself.
It's not the big bad wolf that's going to huff and puff and blow your house down no matter what. That's just, to me, that's just ridiculous. I mean, the human body is so much better and so much more than that.
That's a nice optimistic way of looking at it, right? So
well, you need to be optimistic if you're dealing with the brain. That's for sure.
So there are these nutrients that can be used. What do you say about diet? I mean, what can we do diet-wise to, should I say, prevent dementia, or delay the onset of dementia, or to just keep our brain health intact longer into our old age? What would be the dietary things we could do?
I mean, the basic principles remain the basic principles, Lori. Sugar is toxic to the brain. Alcohol, we know, is toxic to the brain too. So you want fatty foods, junk food, fried foods. They've always been toxic to the brain. When you were younger, you had a lot more reserves. You have a lot more, oomph to bounce back. As things accumulate, it's not as easy it's not as easy to bounce back from these things. So the keys are still the keys. You need a lot of fruits and vegetables, always fruits and vegetables, because the reason why fruits and vegetables, more vegetables than fruits, because fruits, have sugar as well. But the reason why things like kale and asparagus and spinach and all these other things are important, and broccoli, is that the nutrients that are responsible for helping to repair the brain, helping to protect the brain and other organs are in those plants. And the rawer they are, the more effective they will be. Once you start cooking and frying and putting them on for too long, you're going to kill those nutrients and the enzymes and the other things. So the raw fruits and vegetables are still the best way to go. The key thing, and a very, very key thing I want to emphasize is fiber. Fiber is so, so important. And if you can make your because the recommendation is 5 to 8 fruits and vegetables a day. I mean, who does that, right? How many people can actually do that? And that's why I kind of switch more and more towards nutrients, supplements, nutraceuticals. Let's just get that out of the way, right? But fiber, there's something called psyllium husk. Psyllium husk is a very important kind of fiber. I get mine from Whole Foods. You get the flakes, you don't want the powder. They say, the studies say that you need about 35 grams a day if you're a woman, about 40 grams a day if you're a man. 1 tablespoon of fiber is about 7 grams, 8 grams. So you're talking about five tablespoons of that. You need a good quality one. One of the things that does for you is, first of all, it covers your fiber requirements for the day. But also in addition to that, it helps in your digestion. It helps to move things along the way. You'll be surprised how much junk is stuck in your gut. And the more things are stuck in your guts, the more they fester and they become bad and they accumulate toxins, which can affect your brain. I've known of cases in which people with Alzheimer's disease, they just went for an enema where they flushed their gut out, and their kids say that they were lucid for about 1 or 2 weeks, and then they reverted. I mean, completely lucid. Again, this underscores the importance of having a clean, healthy gut. The other thing that fiber does is that it provides the food for the good bacteria in your guts. Cannot overemphasize the importance of the good bacteria. We all know about serotonin, for instance. Serotonin is one of the brain chemical upon which some of the blockbuster drugs of our generation have been made. What's it called again? There's one that's SSRI, that's for depression. It's based on serotonin. Well, people use it for depression on the brain, but believe it or not, 90% of your serotonin is made not in the brain, but in the gut by these gut bacteria. So dopamine too, we all know about dopamine, the happy chemical. 50% of that is made in your gut. They are made by healthy bacteria, good, healthy bacteria. The more you feed your good bacteria, the more they multiply and the more they can do and provide the things that your brain needs to function like it should. So I would strongly, if there's one thing, in addition to vitamin D and vitamin C, there's one thing I want you to leave with, I want our viewers to leave with, is that you want to up your fiber intake. And the easiest way to do that is by getting the psyllium husk fiber from the store. It's a good one, a good quality one.
Now, that is considered also a prebiotic, you're saying? That's something that feeds the probiotics?
Correct. Something that feeds you. So psyllium husk, the other things like inulin and all that, you want to feed your good bacteria, your probiotics on a regular basis, every day as much as possible. And that really helps.
That's really important. So let me go to the questions. Judith says, such good information regarding nutrients, etc. Could you provide links to some literature for my patients if you have them? Do you have some links that Judith could pass along?
Well, it depends on what she wants. I've said a lot of things about different things, so it depends on what Judith would.
I get, this is a question, and I love hearing all this information. This is a question that I get in terms of brain health, etc. You have presented a lot of really fantastic information that I'd love to pass on. I get the diet and exercise question, all the time, of course, but
Right, right. I mean, with the diet and exercise, everybody knows you need a diet and exercise. You're right. Exercise is absolutely important. In fact, exercise is one of the things that helps to create new brain cells. My apologies, I should have mentioned that as well. But yeah, that's
Like the omega-3s, oftentimes, I get in Calabasas, California, a lot of very highly educated people are coming and asking for the literature and asking for things to read up on. And I've just been taking actually some notes here as you're talking. Anything to do with any of the vitamins, the omega-3 fatty acids. I don't know if I'm happy to give you my email as well. If you come across something that you have some articles, that would be fantastic. If not, no worries.
I'd be
yeah,
happy
sure.
to facilitate
Just,
that between you.
yeah. We can go back and forth on emails. I just want to know, be specific. I just want to be specific, and then I can know what to look for and send your way.
No, just anything that you got, that would be great. I'd love to read up for myself as well. That would be awesome.
Okay.
There's so much to this, I think.
So
Yeah.
I'm going to interject, Dr. David. You are singing my song. I've been working with, I'm a health coach, and I've been working with omega-3s for 15 years.
Wow.
And I have a lot of connections with manufacturers. And I'd love to share some resources with you for your foundation in Nigeria.
Okay. Oh, great.
And I'd like to get to know you a little better, because everything you're saying, I just finished a year's worth of functional medicine study. And I think that's my question. Have you done any work with Dr. Mark Hyman or the Cleveland Clinic or the Institute for Functional Medicine?
I have not. A lot of my work has been informal. I have done a lot with Dr. Daniel Amen, though. We've done quite a lot of work together, but not Mark Hyman.
Yeah. Well, let's after this meeting, let's get contact information, and I think we can do some resourcing for your foundation, and work on getting this encapsulated for Judas patients and other people. So I've got a lot of material that we can condense it and put the cookies on the lower shelf to help the where the rubber meets the road,
right?
And help people to start making these very basic changes. The dietary hygiene, the sleep hygiene, all those things.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Yeah, we'd love to.
I think everyone should put their contact info in the chat, if you wouldn't mind. That way we all can connect with each other, like maybe our email addresses for starters.
Yeah.
Lisa, did you raise your hand? Wait, hold on.
No, I'm just taking everything in. This is so incredibly interesting, and I know this is going to be posted somewhere. My husband is also very into, he's a physician as well, has been starting to study gut health. And this morning I was on a Zoom call, and he comes in and gave me my probiotic and my vitamin D. He came in, I'm like, what did he get? The first time I take it every day, but he actually brought it to me to take. But yeah, I can't wait for my husband to watch this. And perhaps reach out to you as well.
That is an educated doctor, I gotta say. An enlightened doctor, let's put it that way. You'll be shocked how many doctors say, no, that doesn't matter.
It took him a long time to come around. Some doctors in his practice have been pushing the vitamin D for years, and eventually he got on board and has been studying, started studying gut, the whole gut thing as well.
Right, and I don't know what color Dick Lee is, but I can see all of you are not black. I'm the only black person here. There's a huge amount of research coming out now showing that the darker your skin is, the more vitamin D deficient you are, and we're now beginning to see that one of the reasons why we black people tend to have more strokes, hypertension, diabetes, and cancer may be related to vitamin D deficiency.
That's interesting, because in my practice, I have a large African-American clientele, and the strokes are so much more common in the population, and the high blood pressure.
Right.
It's really, it's noticeable.
Right. So you're noticing that, and you're not even a doctor.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So why this isn't shouted from the rooftops is, to me, it's baffling, because I saw it. Okay, like, again, maybe the advantage I have is that, okay, I came over here. I was here for about 10 years. Then I went to Nigeria for about 8 years. So this is going on the 9th year now. I've been back in Nigeria, and I was like, okay, there are some clear differences here. Like, why is this happening so much more over here, and in this case and in that case? I mean, so that just got me looking into it, and I realized, listen, this needs to be talked about. I mean, it's ridiculous, and even for pregnant women. I mean, for one thing that we're trying to advocate now is that pregnant women take vitamin D, vitamin C, and zinc. It's to me, it's almost criminal that they're not taking these things in addition, because it could help with so many things, from reducing brain disorders to birth deformities and so many other things.
Tiffany wrote a note in here. I live with TBI and use a lot of supplements and MCT, which has made a huge difference for me. That's the medium chain, what's it called?
Triglycerides.
Triglycerides?
Yeah, like coconut oil.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. TBI. Is that the
traumatic brain injury, TBI.
Brain injury? Okay. And
yeah, we call it something else. Okay, yeah. So TBIs, yeah. So MCTs, okay, that's good. I would still say omega-3s. Omega-3s are, you probably want to add to that. Vitamin D, vitamin C. That's good. The MCTs are making a huge difference. But yeah. I mean, with omega-3s, the right kind of omega-3s, you can get some good results. And then there are also, and we can talk about this later on too. I mean, if you want to send me an email, there are also other key supplements that help in what is known as apoptosis. Anybody heard about apoptosis? Yes, no? Okay, so with apoptosis simply means the body's ability to repair its own cells. And if it can't repair its cells, it kills its cells. So for instance, in the brain, for instance, maybe the person has a stroke. There are some cells that they didn't die completely, but they're just in the way, and they're just damaged, and they're just in the way. They're like scar tissue in the way and interfering with everything else. And the body hasn't had the ability to get them out of the way, maybe because it doesn't have the right tools. So there are certain nutrients that can help to turn on those pathways that help destroy those non-functioning in the way cells and take them out of the way, allowing for better function. So there are different things that can be done, and there's a whole wide range of things that can be done there.
did you say 7 nutrients or several?
Certain nutrients.
Certain. Okay.
Certain.
Okay, because if there was 7, I wanted to hear what they.
No, there's certain nutrients, and there's several of them. Yeah, some of them are combined into a complex.
Okay.
Yeah, I met JJ Virgin, woman who's pretty famous now for the Virgin diet, weight loss mentor. Her son was struck by a car. He was a pedestrian as a teenager, and traumatic brain injury. And they, didn't think he was going to make it at first. And she knew about omega-3s and was mega dosing omega-3s. And within a few months, he was back in school and passing his exams, which the doctors at the beginning didn't think that it was even possible he was going to recover. So there's a lot of power in this. I mean, that's an anecdote. I don't have clinical studies to back that up, but I think, isn't anecdotal evidence still evidence?
Not where doctors are concerned. But it's interesting you bring that story up because yeah, I know that story exactly. I know the owner of the company. In fact, is that exact same omega-3 that we've been using in Nigeria. So what happened in that case is I think JJ got it from Dr. Sears, and Dr. Sears sent it up. There's another interesting story about the miners in West Virginia who, I don't know, many years ago, they were stuck, they were trapped, about 13 of them, they were all trapped there, and a few of them died, but they got one person out, or two, I don't know now, but he was brain dead in a coma, and they got the head neurosurgeon there the governor basically said, this man should not die, this man should recover, and of course the neurosurgeon didn't know what to do about it. So he called Dr. Sears, and Dr. Sears basically walked him through the process, getting massive doses of that omega-3. And this, by the way, this was the same neurosurgeon that was in the movie Concussion. The one that, did you guys see the movie Concussion with Will Smith? So the Alec Baldwin's character is the neurosurgeon that attended to this miner that was in coma. And he reached out, I've forgotten what his name is. I mean, he's still a neurosurgeon, I think somewhere in Chicago. He reached out to Dr. Sears, and he and Dr. Sears worked on this case. And a long story short is that after a few weeks, the man was fully recovered, and he went on to have kids. So it wasn't just his brain that recovered, right?
So which omega-3 is that?
It's called Zone Labs. The company is called Zone Labs. It's called Omega RX.
Omega what?
Omega RX, Omega RX2.
RX?
If you want to get it, RX2. But if you want to get it, please, I'm going to put my hand up now and say, please, I would like to help you get it as a way to pay this man back for all the help that he's been. So I would like to help to in that referral case, if you don't mind, because he has done a lot for us and the kids back home. So anytime I recommend his products, I always like to say, okay, let them know that it came through me.
I'll definitely get some. I have a hard time with omega-3s. I'm sure there's one that will agree with me, but maybe I'll try that one that you're recommending.
Okay. Yeah, we're glad to. It comes in both the liquid form and in the capsule form.
Does it have a bad taste?
It's got a strong taste. I'm not gonna deceive you on that. So the capsule might be a good way to go, as long as you don't belch too much. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So does anyone have any other questions for Dr. David? So I want to thank you so much for sharing these exciting breakthroughs in brain health with us. If anyone wants to get in touch with you or the Body and Brain Foundation, how can they do so?
So I've put my email here. So it's david.wordquest@gmail.com. And then our website is brainandbodyfoundation.org. Yes, I don't do much on social media.
Yeah, so you have a page on Lori's website now. I put a page up for you that links to
okay.
the Body Foundation. So
Awesome.
we're gonna have this video on that page. So this information will not go away. It's here forever.
Oh, nice.
Gary, you can put a link on my website as well.
And I take care of Judith's website as well. So I'll get you
And
over.
me.
I'm sorry, Lisa, I'm not gonna forget you.
Put it on mine too.
Everywhere.
Absolutely, 100%.
Oh, nice.
All kinds of good SEO links. Don't worry.
Okay, that's great.
Nice. Anytime that can be linked to my website.
Do that?
I'm going to send you an email, and I'll let you know how I can help. With your online presence as well.
Okay, perfect.
Very happy to do that.
Thank you.
Great. So
I've got an 86-year-old mother who's waiting for me to take her out. So I'm gonna say goodbye, but thank you for organizing this, Lori. Thank you, Lisa, Judith, for coming, and Tiffany. I haven't met you before, but anybody needs any help, you know how to get in touch with Lori. Hello, Tiffany.
Hi.
Camera shy.
Okay, so
And-
thank you so much.
Okay, and
Thanks,
we'll
Gary.
we'll
Thank you
take
so
care of that
much. I'm gonna
recording
hop off as
after it's
well.
over.
Pleasure to meet you all.
Nice meeting you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. David.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
Thanks for having me.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.